Hello, my name is Christian Wilson. Now, how many people love food? Raise your hands. Now, I, like many others, love food. But every day, there are millions of people in this world that go hungry. And this fact inspired me to do my senior project on hunger awareness. So what I'll be covering in this project are my goals, the steps I took in this project, the Oxfam Hunger Banquet, the good, the bad, and the ugly, my lessons learned, and my resources. So my original goals for my project were to start a nonprofit organization. And this nonprofit organization was going to collect food from various restaurants around the Las Vegas Valley and redistribute it to people who needed it. Now, normally these restaurants would just throw away their food, but this nonprofit was basically made so they could have a place to give it to them and then they could redistribute it. This would solve two problems in the Las Vegas Valley. One of how much food waste there is, and two of how many people go hungry in the Las Vegas Valley. At the end of the first quarter, I was told that this idea was not feasible, so I had to move on to something else. Then I had my new goals in my project. And these goals were to raise awareness for hunger around the world, but specifically in the United States, and then also educate people on hunger and how it affects them. So my senior project really started at the beginning of the summer of after junior year. And what I was first originally going to do was look to see if there was a bill that made it so that restaurants and companies could donate their leftover food to nonprofit organizations like a food bank, and then they could redistribute it and the businesses could not be held liable. Now, as I started to do some research on this, I found out that there was indeed a bill, and it was called the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Law. And this was a federal law, so it was accepted by all the states, so I decided that I had to move on to something else. And so this was my first twist in my project, and that's where I got the nonprofit idea. And over the summer, I put in research of looking up what a nonprofit was, how to create one, how much it would cost. And then at the end of the first quarter, I was told that this idea was not feasible. So this was the second time I had to switch my topic. And just like life, you have to adapt and keep moving forward. So that is exactly what I did. I had to get some new ideas on where I was going to go. I knew it had to deal with hunger because that's what I was passionate about, dealing with how many people are going hungry. So I got new ideas. If I can go forward. And these went from volunteering to holding a food drive for 3 Square to even teaching kids lesson plans about hunger and nutrition. But as this went along, I wasn't really sure if that was enough. I wanted something big, some big event to be held at the end of the year. And I had no idea what it was going to be yet, but I knew I wanted something. And luckily, there was this teacher who gave me an idea. This teacher was Mr. Quinn. And his idea was of the Oxfam Hunger Banquet. So the Oxfam Hunger Banquet, I held it on April 12th, not March. I said March earlier. April 12th, 2016. And basically all day, I cooked food at my house, and I had enough to serve 200 people. And then when the time came that I came to school, I served the food to them. On the left, there's a picture of the cost breakdown of the Oxfam Hunger event. In total, it cost about $100 to make all that food and get all the decorations that I needed for the event. And then on the right, there's me speaking in the same shirt that I'm wearing today. I got it tied this time, though. So you might be asking yourself, what is an Oxfam Hunger Banquet? Well, let me explain this to you. An Oxfam Hunger Banquet is an interactive event, and the goal is to place individuals into 3 different socio-economical income classes, and then they show how each one eats differently on a daily basis. So for when you come into the event, you pick a raffle ticket on your own, and this raffle ticket is basically luck of the draw. Just like in life, we really don't have a choice if we're born into poverty or into riches. This is what this is supposed to show. And once you pulled your ticket, you were told where to sit, and these were in different places. So the low-income class sat towards the front of the stage, right around here, and they had to sit on the floor. And then the middle income sat, of course, in the middle, and they sat at tables. And then the upper income class sat at the back, and they got nice fancy tablecloths and centerpieces. So then the speaker, which was me at the time, would get up and speak to you about hunger, and then invite you to have a meal based on what these income classes would eat. So the low class, in my example, got a half cup of rice, and it was served on a paper napkin. And then they had to eat it with their bare hands on the floor. And then the middle income had a half cup of rice and a half cup of beans that was served in a bowl with a spoon. And each class got a little cup of water, but they had to get up and get their own food. Now the upper income class was served their food, which consisted of spaghetti and a salad with Italian dressing on it. And they also had bottled water. So yes, after that, the speaker would then get up and give their closing statements, and then they would all clap for you and you'd get off the stage. Okay, so on the left, that is Ollie sitting at the upper income table and enjoying a plate of spaghetti. And then on the right is the middle income with their rice and their beans that they got. And then there is the crew of amazing volunteers I had to help me with the Oxfam Hunger Banquet. Most of them were seniors, but I also had Val and Lyric, who's not pictured in there right now. So the good of my project. The best part was definitely my Oxfam Hunger Banquet, because when I went up to the kids to do this, when I talked to them, I felt that they really were getting what I was trying to say. When I went around and talked to them after I told them to get their meal, they seemed to understand that this wasn't fair. They were complaining. They're like, oh, it's so unfair that the upper class gets spaghetti and we get rice and have to sit on the floor. And that was really the point I was trying to get across this whole time, is that it's not fair that the upper income gets more food than everyone else. Everyone deserves to have an adequate amount of food and be able to eat so they don't die. I also thought that the preparation for the Oxfam event went really well. I had everything set up like 20 minutes before everyone was supposed to come in, and the food turned out really well. It was really good. Even the rice, it was good. So I tried to teach lesson plans, and these lesson plans didn't really go according to plan. When I went around to a couple of the advisories and talked to them, they didn't seem very receptive to some of the info I was getting, even when I would try to sort of break it up between me talking and videos and then talking again. And so I decided I had to come up with something new to do, which was the Oxfam Hunger Banquet. That was a really good way to sort of get out what I wanted to say, but also bribe them with food that they got to eat. So I thought that went very well. Well, not the lesson plan, it's the Oxfam. And then finally, the ugliest part of my project, besides Webster, was the ugliest part of my project was the nonprofit organization. And the reason that this was the ugliest part of my project was because I had worked over the summer and up to Q1 just doing research on it. I had started my business application and had gotten an EIN number, which is an employee identification number from the IRS. And then I was told that it was not a feasible idea, and it just sort of broke me inside. I was just sort of done. I didn't think I was going to graduate. I was just done. I thought that all of that work I had done was for nothing, when in fact it was for something. It gave me the experience. I just didn't see it that way until just recently. So it all worked out well. Oh, whoops, switch my neck cards. Okay, now some lessons I learned from this project. My organizational skills have gotten better through this project. Normally during my schooling, I am not an organized person at all. I have papers everywhere in my backpack, nothing at all. As a matter of fact, I still do have papers in my backpack that are crumpled up and look terrible. But I had to keep a senior portfolio like the rest of the seniors did for their senior project. And having to put artifacts away and then having to put my time logs and my resources and seeing how neat it looks now, I'm just like, my organizational skills have definitely improved and it looks much nicer than it would have 3 years ago. I also learned that procrastination benefits no one. Not you, not the teachers, not the world. Don't procrastinate, guys. When you procrastinate, you can say, oh, I can just do my journals tomorrow, or I can just talk to that teacher tomorrow, or I can just do this assignment tomorrow. And this doesn't just apply to the senior project. You can just do your project or your assignment tomorrow. So when you do that, it just creates more work for you, more work you have to get done, and it puts a lot more stress than you need upon you. So procrastination doesn't help you in any way, and then definitely doesn't help the teachers, because then you turn into a giant pile of work, and they have to grade all of that, and they're not happy with you ever when you do that. And you definitely won't survive in the workforce if you decide to put off all your assignments and then all of a sudden turn in a bunch of them. You'll probably get fired. I also learned to keep moving forward and not be paralyzed by indecision or fear. At the end of the first quarter, I was lost. I had no idea what to do. I was pretty much broken because of that. And it wasn't until Mr. Quinn came to me with the Oxfam Hunger Banquet that I really got sparked again into doing this. I thought I wasn't going to graduate, and I wasn't going to have a senior presentation. But yet, here I am, because I decided to keep moving forward. So now I'm going to go over some of my resources, and the first one is Mr. Webster, not Quinn. Mr. Webster, because he was the one to help me with some of my new ideas and to just sort of help me come up with some new ideas after the end of the first quarter. Also, Mr. Quinn, because he gave me the idea of the Oxfam Hunger Banquet, and it was just a really helpful event. And then www.feedingamerica.org, and they gave me ideas for my lesson plans and visuals that I could show. All right, time for some special things. So there's a lot of things I want to give out. First one is to my parents, because without them, I definitely wouldn't be here today. There's a lot of stuff that they helped me with and helped me to get done. Also, Mr. Webster, because he is just overall a great teacher, and he's helped me through all of my schooling, not just the senior project, and I'm really grateful to him for that. Mr. Quinn, because without him, I wouldn't really have much of a senior project. He was the one who gave me the idea for the Oxfam Hunger Banquet, and just helped me with the actual doing of the Oxfam Hunger Banquet, so I'm really grateful to him for that. Miss T, because she helped me with my keynote and also with the multi-genre that we had to do earlier in the year. And those are two really big pieces of the project, so I'm really grateful to her for that. And then lastly is the senior class. And I'm really grateful to all of them, because they're always motivational. They're always like, yeah, you can do it. And we've just bonded a lot through this whole year. And I'm just grateful to really have them in my corner and have them on my side. Wait, hold on. I still have a conclusion, guys. Everyone deserves to have access to adequate food. Through this project, I think I have opened people's eyes to the fact that there are people that don't get enough, and it is a serious problem. I hope you will join me in working towards solving this problem. Thank you.